All right, we got people, so I guess we'll just do it later.
Yep, that's fine. All right, everybody, welcome to Talk is Cheap. I'm your host, Zach Cooper. This is my co-host, Brent Johansson. We'll answer some questions, and then we'll go over the picks from this week. So, first question.
What's up, cool cats? Hey, Brooke, how's it going?
Are the Steelers actually that good, or are they just barely beating teams that are beating the low-end teams? You want to start?
Yeah, I'm going to keep on saying this. The Steelers are not that good of a football team. Yes, they dismantled the Browns, and we've been hyping the Browns up for weeks. But when you really look at it, they beat the Browns without their star running back, a less than 100%, I'd argue a 50% quarterback.
Should have been playing.
That tough guy stuff, I mean, there's a place for it, but if your ribs are like that, you shouldn't be playing in that game. So you're not playing against the Browns at the Browns like star power level. This was the first Steelers game in which they completely dominated the entire game, which that was impressive, but the Browns were playing with their backup staff for a large amount of that game. So I'd still not believe in the Steelers are that good. They are undefeated, so we got to give them some credit, but at the same time, you got to look at who they're playing.
I do believe in the Steelers. I've been saying that. Big Ben looks real good. He's got 11 touchdowns, only one interception on the season. He's making plays when it counts. That defense is making plays. They're holding offenses in check, not allowing a lot of points. Those are the type of things you need out of your football team. Now, they haven't played, besides the Browns, they haven't played any teams that are worth talking about. I think both me and Brent will probably be more in agreement after this week's game on how well Pittsburgh is as a team. They got a big test against Tennessee coming up, and we'll get to that more later on. But I think that this question will be answered this week. Next question: will the winner of Seattle versus Arizona win the West? Yes. I think the winner of that game, which because of who I picked, is going to win the West. I think Arizona's offense is amazing. Their offense is so hard to game plan for, and Kyler Murray can just do so many things back there. But their defense, just like Seattle's defense, is very question mark. Can they hang in there with big, high-scoring teams? They shut down a Dakless Cowboys team. I don't know if that impresses me that much. I'm looking forward to this matchup. I think it's going to be very competitive. Arizona usually plays Seattle pretty well. I want to see how that defense does against Russell Wilson. And it also depends on, there's some rumors circulating today that Seattle is going to be pursuing Antonio Brown. So I also think that really matters if they do get Antonio Brown and how Antonio Brown looks when he gets in there, because that could change everything too. Seattle's undefeated, so it's really hard to think that they're not going to win this division at this point. They have a 2-game lead. That's a pretty good lead when you're a third of the way through the season. So we'll see how it goes, but Arizona could get a game back this weekend. We never know. We'll just have to see how it plays out.
Will the winner of this game decide who wins the NFC West? If it's Seattle, that wins. I know that Arizona can cause Seattle fits, but Seattle right now is really looking like a team that has so few weaknesses that it's very hard to argue that they're not going to win their division.
I agree with that, Stefan.
They're playing lights-out football. Their defense is a little suspect, but when Russell Wilson is playing like Russell Wilson is, you got to give them the division at this point. If Arizona wins this game, I don't think necessarily that they're going to win the division. We'll put them in better positioning, but for me, it's Seattle's division to lose.
Okay. Why do people still care about the Cowboys?
I don't know. So Dallas, like they have so many fans because that's where all the casual fans go. when you think about football, there's very few symbols in the NFL that are more iconic than the Dallas Star. So you have a lot of casual fans that don't really know anything about football that want to just jump on the Cowboys hype train. Dallas is not a good football team. They weren't a good football team with Dak. They're even worse without Dak.
A lot worse.
We saw that. Prior to that Arizona game, I saw it everywhere online. People were like, "Oh, Andy Dalton is not a bad quarterback. He's actually, if you look at his numbers, he's really good. He was just on bad Cincinnati Bengals teams." The Andy Dalton that I saw on Monday Night Football was not good. And that's what you got to look forward to the whole season, man. So I don't know why people still care about the Cowboys. Cowboys are probably going to win 4 games this year now. It's just really what it is. We've seen the Cowboys without Zeke, and they struggled. You saw what they look like without Dak.
It's a 2-person train in Dallas.
Yeah, if you don't load that team completely up with talent, then that's not good.
It's America's team, guys. Show some goddamn respect. I'd rather watch the Bengals. Yeah, I mean, I would too.
Especially now, like Joe Burrow makes the Bengals fun to watch.
Yeah.
When he's not getting smoked.
Why do people still care about the Cowboys? Because the media shoves them down your throat. Like, that's just how it is. The Patriots, Packers, and the Cowboys get shoved down your throat from the media like no other teams do. And the reason is because you guys keep watching those games. If you want people to stop caring about the Cowboys, stop turning Cowboys games on. Like, if the Cowboys ratings drop, the media won't cover them. Because they think that's what gets their network's numbers.
I would rather watch the final season of Game of Thrones on repeat every day than watch those teams.
Oh, God, it is bad. That's how...
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about Dallas, though. Stop watching them, because if the ratings are... I mean, I'm too big of a football fan to stop, but if you are really bothered by the fact that the Cowboys are so talked about, you got to shut the TV off, because without the ratings going down, they're always going to talk about them. After getting blown off the field by Tampa Bay, what do the Packers need to do now to be taken more seriously? I think they're still taken seriously. I don't know anybody who's been like, oh, the Packers are pretenders now. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that Aaron Rodgers had one of the worst games that you're going to see him play. But what they need to do is learn how to beat teams that they're weaker up against up front. Because anytime that they go up against a defensive line that overpowers them, they get destroyed. The games aren't even close. It's San Francisco and Tampa Bay have given them fits now, because that defensive line of both those teams get really physical with them and overpower their offensive line. LaFleur's got to find a way to game plan around that. You know going into these games that their defensive lines are gonna blow you up, so you need to change your game plan. That's part of being a coach, but he's a young coach, so he'll probably figure out a way at some point down the road to do that. But that's a big weakness for them right now. And if they meet either one of those two teams, I'm not very confident that the Packers are gonna win games like that.
Yeah, I'm with Coop. I don't know if there's really anyone except for maybe this certain guy that likes to cheer for the Bears that thinks that the Packers are in trouble after that game against Tampa Bay. Sean, get out of here. Green Bay was actually, they looked like they were in full control of that game until those next to back-to-back interceptions happened. It looked like Tampa Bay couldn't do anything and Aaron Rodgers had control, but then Aaron Rodgers seems to have this complex where if he gets behind in a game or if he starts throwing interceptions, he just doesn't seem to care anymore. He just chalks it up as a loss. I don't expect that to happen too many more times during the season. Green Bay is probably going to be representing the NFC North in the NFC Championship game. But no, the Packers had one bad game against a really good defense and arguably the best quarterback that's ever played the game. Hard to discredit them for that. It's one game. There's 16 of them to play.
Yeah, I agree with your statement. Having the dog is more entertaining than the Packers offense.
That's Sheldon. He's our unofficial spokesman. You'll see him come in on every episode.
He likes to be on TV.
Yeah, he likes to be in the limelight.
All right, who's going to be the premier back in KC when the postseason comes around?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's got to have a nickname or something, because
they can't keep saying that.
I'm just gonna start calling him Helaire because there's too much. I thought that Le'Veon Bell, when I first saw that signing, I thought that they were probably gonna split it like 50-50. And Helaire probably saw a lot of those reports too, and was like, you know what? Let me show you what I can do in the rain. And that sucker ran for, I think, 161 yards, and he just completely owned Buffalo. I think that Bell is going to come in on some of these third and longs that they have as more of a pass-catching back, or that back that's going to just kind of maneuver his way for the first down. Or possibly even the red zone, the goal line, where I've never seen a running back as patient as Le'Veon Bell. But Helaire is really good. I don't see him losing too many carries to Le'Veon.
Yeah, I'm not going to call him Clyde the Glide. I don't care what the NFL tries to push down your throat. I'm not calling him that. They didn't even spell Glide right. Yeah, that was Ryan's question, though, by the way. Huge Chiefs fan, obviously. I agree with Brett. It's going to be CEH taking it in the backfield. I think they signed Le'Veon Bell more for namesake than anything to worry defenses and for defenses to not know how to scheme, because I don't think they have any issues in the backfield. I do think he'll come in for passing downs to catch balls out of the backfield, but I don't think he's taking that job away. And I think Edwards-Helaire made it a key to show out the last game
against
to
Buffalo.
show them that Le'Veon Bell's not taking my spot here. You drafted me in the first round for a reason, and this is why. I was the first running back taken, and this is why. So I think he cemented his spot as keeping that job on Monday. So I can't think of any scenario and without injury that Le'Veon Bell ends up being the premier back there.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that Le'Veon Bell's getting paid peanuts, too, on top of it. So.
Well, he's getting paid a lot by the Jets still.
Yeah, I just meant by KC.
Yeah.
Do you think Stefanski should have made the decision to sit Baker last week instead of allowing him to be sacrificed to the Steelers defense, considering his current condition? And should he sit this week to get completely healed?
Oh, I led the last one.
Oh, my bad. I was out of order. Yeah, he should have sat Baker. I said that before he started. I said it was a questionable decision. I mean, I didn't know 100% like how bad he was. I know he was kind of trying to shrug it off, but players of his caliber do that with his type of ego. Try to do that. You know, I'm okay. But you could see that even in pregame warmups, they showed him out there throwing the ball around and stuff, and he was all like trying to move and try to get his stuff loose. Like you could tell that he wasn't comfortable. And then the game started, and then you could really see he just couldn't make the throws that he could normally make. And Baker's been a hit and miss QB since he's been in the league, but he was straight miss, and it was just like he's not usually bad at throwing the ball. Usually it's the decisions that he makes that are bad. But the ball, the way he was throwing the ball was bad in this game. Like he just was, he shouldn't have been out there, and it was more than his ribs. I feel like he hurt that shoulder when he went down on it too. I wouldn't have played him. I'd have been like, look, we're 4-1. We're going to let Case Keenum, who's led a team to the playoffs before, take over. Hope for the best, and try to get our QB 100% for down the road. That's the way you got to think long term in these situations. You can't throw your QB in there. And what if he would have got? Luckily, he didn't. But what if he would have got more hurt? And then now you're riding a backup QB all the way to the postseason. Now, if you make it, right? If you make it, because he got hurt in week 6. So. It's just decisions like that I think against Stefanski, a rookie coach, that those are mistakes that he's made. I think these are learning curves for him, and you've seen how Baker played. He was not himself. And do I think he should sit this week? I don't know how he's doing. They're not giving many updates on Baker, so it just depends on how he feels and what he's doing. If he's not 100%, yes, he should sit. Absolutely. Why am I not remembering who they play this week? You remember?
Cincinnati.
Oh, sit him. If he's not close to 100%, sit him. You could probably beat Cincinnati despite Joe Burrow's success, even with Case Keenum. If he's not 100%, please sit the guy. That's just the best for your future. You just got to think long term. So
So Stefanski said today that he expects Baker to play on Sunday, which I don't think is the right decision. But I can see where he came from by letting Baker make the call to play, because it was a very crucial matchup, and it's probably the wrong decision to let Baker make that call. You're the head coach. You need to know when your guys are ready to play or not. But a lot of times you have to, the best way to get the information is from your player. And it was wrong of Baker to say that he was ready to play when he wasn't. You got to be honest with your coach, because if you tell your coach that you're ready to play, your coach thinks that you're ready to play. And obviously Baker wasn't. So
Coach should have talked to the doctors.
yes, that's true. And should have got some kind of opinion on that. But apparently he thinks that Baker's ready to go. So we'll see how he does. I know that they won't have near the pressure on Baker with Cincinnati coming at him than they would with the Steelers coming. But no, I don't know. I think that it was the right move, because as the rookie coach, you should really listen to your players. But it was wrong of Baker to lie and say that he was ready to play and try to tough it out when you know you're not ready to play in such an important game. You could have, if you knew that you weren't going to be ready, you could have given Case Keenum the whole week to try to get ready for it instead of not getting him any practice time at all.
Yeah, I feel where you're coming from. Okay, so what the actual hell is going on with my boys is the Jets question. The entire organization will owner to the water boy.
Adam Gase. That's the problem there. The offensive mastermind is literally the cancer that is slowly killing the Jets organization. They have great people in the front office. Joe Douglas, who came from Philadelphia, is an excellent talent scout, talent acquisition. He's great. They have good players on their roster. But the problem is Adam Gase. The guy kills everything that he touches. And he just needs to get out of town is what it is. And I just don't have anything else to say. Adam Gase, you're fired.
Yeah, we gotta talk about this every week. It's definitely Adam Gase. I don't know what else to say about it other than you gotta get rid of the guy. I don't know how long you gotta get continuously beat down until you're like, this guy's not the right guy for the job. And they call him an offensive mastermind, but he's never had an offense above 21st. So
he had 1 year of decent success with Jay Cutler in Chicago.
That was his 21st ranked season.
And they treat it like he turned a quarterback that was already pretty decent. He just stopped caring about the game. They treated it like they turned a trash can into a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and they weren't even in the top half of the league. No. So, like, if that's what you call decent, like,
he's got dirt on someone, and it's going to come out.
Yeah, eventually. It's got to. All right, this question is for me. You're the GM of the Vikings. What are your first 3 moves you make for your team? Okay, well, it's the middle of the season, so there's not much we can do right now. But what I'm telling you that we should do is after the season's over, we're going to have an early draft pick, and we need to draft Trey Lance. He's going to sit behind Cousins next year and learn. And then when Cousins is in his last year, you deal him out of here and let Trey Lance play. Next, we need an offseason. Okay, get these defensive backs some offseason to actually practice because they're getting burnt. And third, we don't really have a third. Those are really our only 2 problems. They're just big-ass problems. Kirk Cousins is playing bad, and our defensive back can't stop nobody. Okay, so I guess third would make sure you get a doctor that can make sure Hunter's 100% healthy. But other than that, that's the only issues I have. You got to get Trey Lance, and then you have to go make sure your defensive backs are ready. Okay, I'm not even saying these guys are bad because they've shown flashes in these games that they can be good, but they're all pretty much rookies at most second years besides Hughes, but he's pretty much a rookie because he's missed so much time. That, I mean, all the playing time is about equal. So without an offseason, it's really difficult for these guys to transition. They're literally trying to learn on the fly against all-pro wide receivers in some of these games. Some of the teams that they've played, like you have Dantzler, a rookie, covering Julio Jones the entire game. It's like, rip. Like, good luck. So, those are really my only two serious things. So, to the next question. So, I'll let you lead since that question was just for me. Is Kirk Cousins this year's Jameis Winston?
No. I don't think so. Because I don't want to sound mean. Jameis Winston was actually winning football games. And Kirk arguably lost that game before it even began against the Falcons with that terrible play. I think that by the time the end of the year is going to be done, he's going to have a much more respectable passing touchdown to interception ratio. Once the defense actually starts clicking, he won't literally have 20 minutes the entire game to try to force something to happen.
Third game.
So I don't think Kirk Cousins is bad. He's getting forced to put into situations that he's not a quarterback that's designed to do that. And if you put any quarterback on a team and give him 20 minutes to go win a football game, that quarterback's probably not going to win very many football games. So I don't think the problem is really on Kirk Cousins, where Jameis Winston was literally losing games just by he was just.
Fuck it,
Someone's gonna go get it.
out there somewhere.
Yeah, someone's going to go get it. I don't care if it's the guy running the other way. Kirk doesn't do that. If you watch a lot of Kirk Cousins' interceptions, they're not really his fault. The Atlanta Falcons ones, they were bad throws. But he was also down like 30-0 before it even started, it felt like. And, Kirk Cousins better than Jameis Winston. But he definitely needs to step it up if they're going to put together some kind of season, maybe grab the 7th seed. I don't know.
Yeah, they'd have to. Only 2 more losses at most if they're going to grab the 7th seed. So, not too hopeful, but they have talent, so they definitely could go on a run. But I don't think he's this year's Jameis Winston just because he's way more talented than Jameis Winston was. He's got a way higher football IQ. I don't think Jameis Winston has a football IQ. I think he's like, okay, so we're supposed to throw the ball and someone's supposed to catch it. Like that's like Jameis's football IQ. Like, for real. Kirk Cousins having a bad year, but he doesn't traditionally do this, right? Jameis Winston traditionally just turns the ball over. Cousins also, like we've pointed out, he said this is his 3rd game where he's had the ball for 20 minutes or less. You know how hard it is to quarterback a team when you don't have the ball very often, right? You're like forced, I got to bomb the ball because we got to get back in this game and we got to score because this team's just dragging their team down and taking up all the clock. So he's forced to try to throw the ball into situations where he probably shouldn't be throwing the ball into tight coverage and stuff because he's trying to make stuff happen. I'm not saying that all of his picks are like that because he has had some picks where you were just like, what the hell are you doing? But you got to take into consideration that some of this is a lot of pressure to score quick. This week, I don't know. This Falcons game was just a bad game. I'm going to say that straight up. He didn't look good. But I don't expect him to continue on that. I liked his post-game interview where he came out and admittedly said that, hey, if I keep throwing picks, you should bench me. Who says that, right? Only a guy who knows 100% that I'm to blame right now. Like that. That said a lot to me because most of the time people try to bounce around it. Well, we're not playing good as a team. No, he didn't do that. He threw himself under the bus, and I like that. That was a lot. I got a lot of respect for me. So he notices it. They got a bye week now. I think they can work on whatever it is that he's doing wrong. Zimmer's a smart coach. I know Minnesota Vikings fans just want him fired because they can't handle one bad season. It's outrageous, but he's a great coach. He's going to figure it out. He's going to help Cousins. They're going to get this together. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs. Like I said, they would have to only lose at most 2 more games, probably 1 with the way the NFC is down the stretch. So I'm not expecting that, but I think that they can turn their season around a little bit enough to have enough confidence going into next year to think that they can be a tough team next year. So
I saw that Zimmer is the 3rd most likely head coach per Vegas odds to get fired, which I just think is outrageous.
Yeah, their GM just debunked that too.
And how is Adam Gase not number 1? It was Marrone from Jacksonville. It's like
how is he even on the hot seat with that roster?
I don't know.
I wouldn't even put him on the hot seat.
It was Marrone, Gase, and then Zimmer. I was like, that's ridiculous. Zimmer's not going to lose his job from one bad year.
No, they'd be nuts to do that. I'm glad the GM debunked that too. Is Swift the Lions' new number 1 for the remainder of the season? he should be, but he's not going to be because they ride the hot hand. And Swift looks really good. I'm very impressed with him, but when you have 3 running backs the caliber the Lions have, they're always going to go with whoever has the hot hand. And that's the problem with having 3 running backs like that, too, is then eventually your egos are going to crash. Adrian Peterson's already starting to get a little upset there. So you're going to have to figure something out. I do think Swift should be the number 1. He's proven to be the most versatile of them, but I think he should split carries with AP about 60-40, and I think Kerryon's good trade bait at this point, and he should just kind of get out of there. I'm not saying Kerryon's not good, but he's kind of lost his place in the offense. So it's between those two. I do think Swift should be the main guy, but that's not how it's going to go. It's whoever gets the first long carry of the game is going to be the main back for the game. So.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth with Kerryon. I think Kerryon's out of the picture. I think expect him to be traded by the trade deadline. I don't know what you'll get from him. Probably a 4th round pick or something. You get some return on your investment. Swift has looked good. Minus that dropped TD catch in week 1, he's looked really well. And that's not a knock on Adrian Peterson either, because Adrian Peterson's performed pretty well for being like a 34-year-old running back that no one really expected had anything left in the tank. I don't think that the Lions are going to go to just a 3-down back guy. They're just going to keep switching them out and keep fresh legs in there. So I do think Swift was going to start seeing more bulk of the carries, but it's not going to be any like 80-20 ratio or anything like that. AP rips off a 50-yard run. Look for AP to take the rest of the carries basically for the entire game. It's just how Detroit's running things.
Yeah. I do think that Swift should be the main guy by next year, but this year it's going to continue to be a hot hand rotation type thing. So, and final score prediction. Oh, yeah, it's college. We don't do that. Michigan's going to win, though, okay? Okay, last question for you, Brent. You're the GM of your Philadelphia Eagles. What 3 players would you try to target at the trade deadline to further your chances of potentially close the door on the NFC East?
Well, 2 of those players I'm contacting the Houston Texans for. And that's Will Fuller and Whitney Merciless. They have both been announced that they're available for trade. They're lacking in the draft capital area. So I'd say you could probably get, if you threw Zach Ertz and a 3rd round pick in, I think you could get both of those players. That would help out because we really need a linebacker. Our linebackers are terrible. And we need a really explosive wide receiver on the other side of the best wide receiver in football right now, Travis Fulgham. As for the 3rd player, I would I don't care who it is at this point. We just need to get a freaking offensive lineman in that team. Going into week 7, the Eagles have had 6 different offensive lineman rotations. There's no chemistry there because it's just a rotating door at all the positions. That's not Jason Kelce at center. So there's someone new there every time. Carson Wentz is getting beat up. Get someone that can hold that offensive line together, and then go get those 2 guys from Houston.
You guys just cut your best offensive lineman. Confuses me.
Oh my! He gave up 3 sacks by himself. One of them he sacked Carson Wentz himself. Calais Campbell literally shoved him into Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz fell over. So, come on, man.
That's funny stuff right there.
That guy sucked.
All right, getting to our picks now.
Yep.
All right. First game, you want to take it since it's your team?
Yep. Let me pull her up. So we got Giants at Philadelphia. Call me biased all you want. I'm going Philadelphia. Philadelphia has owned New York. New York hasn't beaten Philadelphia since 2013. I don't look for it to change here. There's very few bright spots on the Giants team. And yes, the Eagles are just completely demolished with injuries. I don't want to hear anyone ever talk about injuries to me. Because if you look at that roster, good luck naming people.
It's only 2 starters left.
Yeah. Which is weird because everyone says Carson Wentz is injury prone, and he's like the last man standing.
Him and Kelsey.
Yeah. I have the Eagles winning this one. It's going to be a pretty low-scoring game. If any team goes above 24, I'd be shocked. But the Giants just don't give me anything to go off from. Even if I wasn't an Eagles fan, there's really no bright spots on that Giants team. So I'm taking Philly.
They wear pretty blue. That's about it. Their helmets look shiny and live the lights. I'm going to take Philly as well here. It's hard to pick these games between the NFC East because they're just all so bad right now. So I just kind of went with the better quarterback at this point. I know people are going to shit on me for this, but I think Wentz is a great quarterback. He's just surrounded by shit. So I think it'll be a low-scoring game, but I think if you can put the ball in Wentz's hands with a chance to win the game, he can do it a lot easier than Danny Dimes can do it. Again, also, I can't physically actually remember the last time the Giants have beaten the Eagles. So that, I know he just said 2013, but, I can't remember it, so I knew it was a while. So,
Tom Coughlin was the head coach, if that dates it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So was Andy Reid. No, Chip Kelly was there. Chip Kelly.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Year one of the Chip Kelly experiment.
Oh, wow, that was a bad experiment. Yeah. So I got the Eagles. There's not a lot I can say about this game because both teams are just super bad. It's not like I'd be super shocked if the Giants won this game, but like I said, I'm just putting it in the hands of the better quarterback at this point.
Eagles are also wearing all black. They have never lost a football game when they wear all black. So if you guys are feeling it on Bovada or you're going to Gun Lake, go check it out. They're undefeated. It's not even close. They usually beat the opponent by 20 points when that happens.
All right, Pittsburgh at Tennessee. This is a game I know me and Brent are not going to agree on. I'm taking Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh's looked real good, and I think this is their chance to finally. They have a team that nobody can dispute because even though I think the Browns are a great team, there are a lot of people who aren't sold on the Browns. So this could be their first team that literally nobody can dispute is a good team. This is in their eyes is a way to finally put a win on the board that shows people that they're for real. Because there won't be anybody that can talk shit about Pittsburgh or anything if they're able to win this game. Pittsburgh's defense has been phenomenal where Tennessee's is not. But I will give Tennessee the edge on offense. Ryan Tannehill's been absolutely on fire. And then not to mention the fact you have Derrick Henry and you have to try to tackle him. I think this could be a coin flip game. I expect this to be really close and come down to the end. But I'm going to give the edge to Pittsburgh. I just think that defense is going to make a play when they need to make a play and make a stop when necessary at the end of the game. So give me Tennessee by 3 or Pittsburgh by 3.
Tennessee is going to win this football game, not only because they cheat, and so they've been practiced for this way longer than they should have been. But here's my bold prediction of the week. This game's over by halftime. Tennessee wins in a rout.
No way.
A rout.
No way.
Derrick Henry hits over 230 rushing yards.
No way.
3 rushing touchdowns. A.J. Brown's going to go off. He's going to have 2 himself. This game is going to be a massacre. Ben Roethlisberger cannot play football against teams that can actually score. So, look for this game to get ugly, and Tennessee's going to run away with it. I'm going to stop watching at halftime because it's going to be 35-0.
The producers of Talk is Cheap do not back anything the host of the show says. We should have that in writing as we
That's my bold prediction. Tennessee's going to win this football game, in my opinion. My bold prediction is they completely blow Steelers fans up, and people are going to really start doubting the Steelers after this.
Shit. All right. Yeah, you're up next game?
All right, Cleveland and Cincinnati. I wanted to pick Cincinnati, but I couldn't do it. I think Baker humbled himself a little bit. He's got an extra week to rest his ribs up. Hopefully, he's not going to lie and say he's okay for this game. If he's hurt, sit out. But Stefanski says he's going to play. Cincinnati, they can light it up. Look what they did to the Colts. It was 21-0 or 24-0 early on with the Colts. You let Phillip Rivers come back and beat you. I have no hope for you. So that's just how it is. If you give up a 24-point lead, you don't deserve to play. And Burrow looked good, but that defense just, I don't know what happens to him. It's like at halftime, they just turn it into a whole different defense. They've done it all year long. Minus the Ravens where they didn't even show up to play. But I have Cleveland winning this game. Should win it pretty convincingly.
Yeah, they played once already, and Cleveland won that game pretty convincingly despite the score being only a 5-point score. If you watch that game, Cleveland dominated that game from start to finish. I kind of expect the same this time. I think Baker sounds like Baker's healthy enough to play. It's just Stefanski's word. They haven't released really any actual information on Baker. So hopefully he's good to go. If Baker's healthy, they should run this game just like they did the last one. Burrow looks good, but the problem is the rest of the Bengals don't look good, and that's the problem. You can't go up 24-0 and then blow that lead. That's ridiculous, especially to a 39-year-old father of 17 who's always tired and never gets any sleep.
I saw him fall down. He threw a 12-yard pass to a wide-open T.Y. Hilton. I think it was T.Y. And he fell down because he was putting his whole body going forward to make it 12 yards.
People say Drew Brees has lost his arm strength. Jeez.
No, he literally fell down face first. I was like, oh, how? It's 12 yards.
Yeah. No faith in the Bengals. I do think they have a bright future. Just this year, I don't have any faith in them yet. So, I gotta pick Cleveland here. Buffalo at the Jets. Buffalo finally gets off their little tough streak they went on here. And they get to go to New York and absolutely destroy the Jets. This should be good. This game will be over at halftime. There's too much talent on Buffalo, and I know if they can hang in there with Kansas City for a while, what do you think they're going to do to the Jets? So the Jets are not going to win a game this year. So I don't even know why I continue to pick them and try to give an analysis on it, because they're just that bad. Like, if you ever bet a parlay, just pick any team that's playing the Jets to start your parlay off. That's a good, solid, automatic W.
Take the spread. That's going to win.
Yeah, even the spread, right? I don't know what Buffalo's like a 10-point favorite. Take it. They'll win by more than 10.
The Dolphins had a -9 spread, and they beat them what was it?
24-0.
24-0. So I have the Jets winning this football game as my bold move. I'm just kidding. I can't even say. I can't.
I don't remember that.
I got nothing good to say about the Jets. Buffalo. There's nothing else.
I hope the Jets win, though, because we want Trevor Lawrence, so go ahead and win so that we have a tie.
The Jets just suck, so Buffalo. Anyone that plays the Jets this year, I'm picking against the Jets. What do we got? We got Carolina at New Orleans. I got the Saints. Saints all day. The Saints have struggled a little bit without Michael Thomas, but not enough where I think that they would lose to the Panthers, and Michael Thomas might actually finally play. If he can stop hitting teammates and stop crying about slants.
Slant boy.
Michael Thomas is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, arguably top 3, which I don't necessarily agree with because all he does is run slants. But he's really good at it. Carolina, they just got beaten by the Bears, and you got beat by regular season Nick Foles. Not a great look. Maybe, I don't know, they've shown promise, but I think a lot of that was teams didn't know what to look for. Teams are starting to figure out that they can take away Mike Davis, and you force it on Teddy, and he's not going to win the football game. Teddy had played good up until that point, but he didn't really look great against the Bears. I have New Orleans winning this game. The score is going to look closer than the game's actually is, but I think New Orleans wins it pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to take New Orleans here. From what I'm hearing, this could be Carolina's final game without CMC back, so they just kind of have to tread water for right now. But I really can't see them going in and beating a now a New Orleans team with Mike Thomas back. It's just New Orleans was still finding ways to win games and still look pretty decent without Michael Thomas. So now that he's back, they're going to go back to looking like New Orleans used to look, and that's scary. That's not the offense you want out there. And I don't think they can hang with him. I think Teddy's played pretty good minus last week. He'll look better this week than he did last week because New Orleans' defense is not the Bears' defense. But it's not going to be enough. I don't think he can hang with Drew Brees in that offense. So plus, even if you do whatever you can to take Thomas away, then Kamara's gonna do whatever he needs to do. So it's just like a pick your poison type thing there. The good thing about having New Orleans before Thomas was here was you could take away Kamara and just focus on Kamara. Well, now you can't because you got Thomas here. So pick your poison. The other one's gonna beat you. That's just how it is. I just can't find a way to pick Teddy Bridgewater over Drew Brees. So I got New Orleans in this game. I do think it'll be a pretty close game. Watch out for Carolina now that CMC's coming back, though. They could be pretty competitive.
They were better without him.
I think they realize they could do stuff without and don't have to rely on him 100% of the time.
Yeah, they don't gotta. If they're not handing it to him, they don't also have to throw it to him.
Right, I think they figured that out. Since it might have been a blessing that he got hurt for him.
Yeah, because look at what Robbie Anderson's been doing for that team.
For sure. And you still have DJ Moore, too, who's starting to now finally break out in that offense a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, Detroit at Atlanta. Atlanta looked real good, but so far, pretty much everybody's looked real good against Minnesota. So I don't have enough faith in this Atlanta team with the way that they've looked every other week to pick them in this game, or Detroit's shown flashes where they played good football. In almost every game except the Green Bay game. The problem is that they outcoach themselves a lot of times. The good thing for Atlanta is that they don't have a good coach either. So, even without Dan Quinn, your coaching's not superb there. So, I don't think you really have to worry about being too outcoached in this game. So, it's pretty much going to come down to which defense is going to blow the game first. And Atlanta's defense is absolutely horrible. And the only reason they're not being talked about is being one of the worst defenses that people have ever seen is because Dallas exists. But both of those defenses are absolutely awful. And the Lions are no, studs on defense, but, you can pretty much just throw the ball as deep as you can on Atlanta and you're going to catch a touchdown. And when you have a wide receiver like Kenny Galladay, that just smells success. Look at Minnesota even last week. Even though Atlanta blew out Minnesota, anytime Justin Jefferson ran a route over 10 yards, they were in trouble. And that's just been what Atlanta's defense has been all year, and they haven't shown any signs of fixing it. And until they do that, I can't see them beating this Lions offense. So that's all I got for this. I know you're going to be against me on this game. So
yeah, I'm going with Atlanta, and I'm not going with Atlanta based off the fact that they blew out Minnesota, because a little part of me thought that could happen. A lot of times when a new head coach takes over, the team performs really well for one game, and that just happened to be Atlanta's game. But the Vikings are better than Detroit is on all aspects of the game. And, well, maybe not quarterback. I hate Stafford, but he's better than Kirk Cousins. Hold on, my dog's trying to get a toy.
Maybe not defensively this year. The Vikings are next level dog shit this year.
But Detroit does have 2 wins. One shocking win against Arizona, and then everybody expected him to beat up on Jacksonville.
It's true, even he picked Detroit.
Yeah. I won't pick Detroit in this game because of what I saw from Atlanta in that last game. They might try to replicate that same success and get Julio involved early. If Julio gets involved early, then Detroit they're not gonna do it. If they fall behind, Patricia's shown that they fall behind by a touchdown. They lay down and die. And so I think Atlanta's going to win this game. There's just not a whole lot of positives for Detroit in this matchup. Kenny Galladay should feast, but that should probably be about it.
Yeah. Okay, next up.
What do we got? Dallas and Washington. Oh, this one sucks. In one corner, you got Andy Dalton, who just looked like absolute dog shit against Arizona, which has a bad defense. And then the other one, you got the Washington team, who it's like they changed quarterbacks like they changed underwear. This game is not going to be good. There's some interesting matchups because Washington has really good front defensive line, where the Dallas Cowboys their offensive line is decimated. So I think that Dalton is going to get hit a lot, but I can't see Washington winning this football game. I got to go with Dallas. as much as I don't want to see Dallas win, I think Dallas is going to pull one out against Washington. But I'm hoping Washington wins that one.
Yeah, so someone's got to win this game, right? So
They could tie.
I doubt it, but
Get out of here, dude. Go.
it's hard. It was hard to pick this game because Dallas looked so bad Monday without Dak. But when it comes down to it, is even though that this burns you sometimes, you just lay the paper down in front of you and look at the rosters. And Dallas, even without Dak, is way more talented than Washington is. And plus, Washington keeps playing the wrong quarterback. So until they play the right quarterback, I don't have any faith they're going to win any games.
Are you saying Alex Smith? Is that who you're hitting at?
Yeah, Alex Smith is the right. I don't care if he had a bad game against the Rams his first game back in 3 years. He's better than Kyle Allen is. Kyle Allen's not going to win you any games, ever. He won a couple games for Carolina when he first came in until
he was
everybody.
magical in Carolina.
Yeah, for his first 3 games, until then people had game film on him, and then he lost 8 games in a row.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton can be a serviceable quarterback. I don't know if he's as bad as what Monday showed. It was his first game starting, so I'm gonna give him another week before I label him as he's just lost everything he's ever had again. So if he lays an egg against Washington, I'm never letting up on him. He should be able to put some points up. I'm not saying he's gonna throw 30 points up, but he's gonna put enough points that you should beat Washington. The Giants, whose offense has looked anemic this year, found a way to beat Washington. And I know they had a defensive touchdown to win the game, but they still found a way to beat Washington. If you losing to the Giants, just sorry. I have no more faith in you. It's going to be a sloppy, gross game. Don't watch it. Just don't watch it. I don't care if you're a Cowboys fan, don't watch it. Just watch the box score on your phone or whatever.
When you look at the highlight reel at the end of the game, it's going to be a 13-second thing. It's going to be
yeah, the only touchdown Andy Dalton throws, or even if probably Zeke runs it in or something
from the 1 yard line.
From the 1 yard line,
That's the only
they win 13-6.
It's going to be an ugly game.
Yeah, it'll be bad. So don't expect any good highlights from this game. Green Bay at Houston. Green Bay, you're going to get a really mad Aaron Rodgers. I feel so bad for the Houston defense. This is going to be a rout. I think Green Bay could put up north of 50 points in this game. They are going to be mad. You don't like to see Aaron Rodgers like this. Watson can score, but not 50-plus point score.
Not with the guys he's got.
Not with the guys he's got who are now all found out they're all on the trade block yesterday.
See how well they want to play.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But I know for a fact Green Bay is going to win this game. If I had to pick a lock that wasn't the Jets, this would be my game. You just don't. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have games like he had against Tampa Bay, and you see what happens when Rodgers gets a little agitated. This year happens. Minus last game, the rest of this year is what a mad Aaron Rodgers does.
Mm-hmm.
So piss him off again and continue doing this. This is just not even going to... I don't have a ton more to say about this game because Houston's not worth talking about much this year. But just expect Aaron Rodgers to throw 5 touchdowns in this game. So Aaron Jones is going to light it up on the ground too. So
this one was actually a little harder for me to pick.
Really?
And the main reasoning behind that is Houston hasn't been blown out by anybody, and they faced some really good teams. And they took Tennessee, which I'm finally starting to give them some credit. They took Tennessee all the way down to the wire, and Tennessee had to give everything they had to beat a 1-win Texans team. I do have Green Bay winning this football game, but I don't think it's going to be a rout because just Watson is he's good at putting up the points. And Fuller has really blown up this year. Now that he has to be the guy. I don't think Green Bay is really going to have to sweat in this game too much. But I would start Will Fuller on fantasy if I do have him in 3 leagues. But I would start him because I feel like he's going to get a lot of yards. And I think Green Bay is going to win it probably by 2 touchdowns. But I don't know. I don't see a rout happening. It's just I don't think Houston's as bad as what their record indicates. They're in every single game that they play. And they played a lot of top talent teams.
So, before I go to the next game, I'm super confused on how we're live and watching our live on the same screen at the same time.
Is it me?
No, why would it be on my tablet if it was you?
I don't know.
I don't even know how that happened.
No, weird.
Anyways, Seattle at Arizona. Okay, this game will be fun. Arizona, I don't know if you guys have kind of gone through the history of Seattle, Arizona for the past, since Russell Wilson's been there. But even bad Arizona has been able to put up fights against Seattle. So this game should be pretty competitive. Actually, I think that Seattle tied them 2 years ago, didn't they? When Arizona sucked. Right? So that was one of the worst football games I ever watched. I think it was so boring. And I watched every minute through overtime. But for some reason, Arizona gets up for the games against Seattle, no matter how good they are. Now they're good. Well, at least better than what they were. Okay. I expect this to be a real tight, real fun game. Murray's going to make stuff happen against that Seattle defense. That Seattle defense isn't very good. Even Seattle fans admit that. Again, they're bend but don't break, so they do make plays at the end, and I think that could be what wins this game. I think it could wind up a 3-point game or a 4-point game or something like that with Kyler Murray with the ball in his hands going down the stretch and Seattle defense finally being able to make a stop. That's how I feel like this game is going to go. I can't bet against Russ until you give me a reason to bet against Russ. Okay, he's been on fire this season. 16 touchdowns in 5 games is absolutely phenomenal. He's on pace for almost 60 touchdowns for the year. I talked about earlier in this podcast, that Arizona's defense is not that good. So expect both these offenses to put up points. But if you're letting Russ just put up points on you, it's going to happen every time. So I don't expect too many punts in this game. So Seattle in a close, tight one should be a real fun one, a must-watch in my opinion.
Yeah, I gotta go with Seattle. Even though earlier I said Seattle doesn't really have any flaws. I thought about one earlier. Seattle doesn't do very well when it comes to divisional games. Even when the Rams were really bad as the St. Louis Rams, those terrible 2-win teams, they get their win against Seattle. And just Seattle doesn't know how to prep against its own division. If you look at all their divisional games that they'll play all year, they're 1-score games or as tight as you can be. It's just how they do it. So I could very well see Arizona squeaking one out, but it's so hard to say that Russ is going to lose a game, and I got to go with Seattle, but I wouldn't touch it on any kind of bet slip because Seattle doesn't do very well in the division. That's
true, and that's another thing I know too. But Russ is playing out of his world.
That's why I can't go against him.
It's a little hard.
Until he looks human, I gotta go with Russ. What do we got here? We got Jacksonville at Chargers. Sorry, Addison.
Apologize for every damn week.
I think if Nelson looks at this too, I think Nelson's a Jaguars fan. Well, he was a Blake Bortles fan, if that's even a thing. But, huh?
I didn't know those existed.
Yeah, I don't know. But he has a Blake Bortles jersey. I remember that vividly. There's nothing for me to say about the Jaguars. Maybe me saying nothing is probably nicer than anything I would have to say. So let's talk about Herbert, who I think Herbert is playing better than Burrow is.
Yeah, he is.
Which is crazy because I would say that Burrow has more weapons than Herbert does, but I think Herbert doesn't have the stats that Burrow does, but the team looks more alive under Herbert, and Herbert's actually played really good against really good teams. He almost beat Tom Brady. He should have beat Tom Brady, and he should have beat Drew Brees. Lost both of those games. He's still got some growing up to do, but I don't think he has any problem putting away the Jaguars. Herbert gets his first win? His first win as a Charger against the Jaguars.
Are you trying to add a QB controversy here? but Tyrod Taylor is 1-0 and Herbert is 0-4. I just want to point that out. Just kidding. Okay, so here Herbert's looked phenomenal, but Herbert's got a flaw, and that it's a rookie flaw, and that when the pressure is put on him, he crumbles right now. When he has to make the play at the end of a game, he has crumbled, and that's the only flaw he's had so far. Oh, Dylan's on. This is perfect for me to say this. Dylan, your boy Herbert, balling out. We're talking about the Chargers right now. Look, his one flaw, and Brent just shook his head and agreed with me, is if the game is on the line, so far, granted he's a rookie, I'm sure he'll get out of it, but as of right now, he crumbles when the game's on the line. Dude looks phenomenal for 3.5 quarters. When the ball's in his hands to win the game, he struggled. Fortunately for the Chargers, they will not have a position where Herbert needs to win the game at the end here because Herbert will already have 5 touchdowns and 400 yards, and Gardner Minshew cannot score 5 touchdowns and 400 yards. So, by default, the Chargers should win this game by like 30.
Yes.
So, it should be a blowout. Expect Herbert should be able to soak in his first NFL win this week, and he feels good. And yes, Herbert has played better than Burrow. And it's not a knock on Burrow. Burrow's looked pretty good himself. But I'm excited to see these guys play against each other at some point this year. Herbert, Tua, and Burrow all playing against each other. So that should be some fun matchups later this year.
We should have been able to see that week 1. But we got Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, but what do you do with that?
Kansas City at Denver. Denver surprised me last week. Yes, you beat a Patriots team that hadn't been able to practice really in like 2 weeks. But I don't think very many people, except for even the diehard Broncos, they probably were saying it. But I don't think anyone was saying that Denver with that depleted team was going to go in and beat New England, and they did. I mean, New England came back and looked like they had the chance to go tie that game up, but actually win that game. But they just couldn't get it done. I don't think Kansas City's going to have that same problem. If Drew Lock had his weapons that he should have but are missing due to injury, this game could get closer, but Drew Lock, he struggles in the red zone. Denver went down to New England's red zone 6 times.
Yeah, I think part of that's not having Noah Fant too.
Yeah, but they went down there 6 times. They got 6 field goals. Don't look for Kansas City to lose this football game. I think Kansas City's going to win it pretty convincingly.
Traditionally, if this is a healthy Broncos team, this is where I would bring up that Denver gives Kansas City struggles. Okay, that doesn't matter what year it is, they give Kansas City struggles. They've done it. To Patrick Mahomes, yep. Kansas City Chiefs even. They won't this time, and this is not a knock. Drew Lock's not going to look good. Most of this year, he's not going to look good. People are going to say Drew Lock's not a good quarterback. Okay,
he's throwing to Tim Patrick.
He has Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick. Okay, like that's who he's throwing to. His weapons are all gone. Okay, so he's kind of having a Carson Wentz situation in Denver at this point. Okay, he's got a little bit more weapons than Carson Wentz, but he's also playing tougher competition than Carson Wentz, so it's kind of like balances it out a little bit. He's just not going to look good right now. When you don't look good, Patrick Mahomes is going to tear you up, and that's just how it's going to go. I don't expect this to be too competitive. They might hang in there for a little bit because I noticed that Denver's defense comes out strong to start a game usually. So they might hang in there for a little bit, but by the time the third quarter gets about halfway over, this game should be well decided by then. I don't have much else to say other than hopefully Denver can get healthy next year, and we can see 2 great games between these teams next year. But as of right now, despite their win over New England, which was impressive, I'm going to pick apart why next game, actually, why I think that they did that. So, but despite beating New England, Kansas City's better than New England. You're not going to do that to them. They've practiced all week. So expect Patrick Mahomes to have a field day, 34-13 type game here. So, okay. San Francisco at New England. Okay. This is why I haven't been sold on New England, okay? Because Cam Newton, I don't care if he's been gone. I don't like all that stuff. Right? He wasn't gone with an injury, so he really only had like a bye week. He has such up and down games throwing the football, and that is costly. And when he's on, but when he's off, he looks bad. And this has kind of been pretty much the tale of most of his career, outside of his MVP season. He just goes through those spurts, and that's why it makes it hard to believe in New England, even though Bill Belichick makes you want to believe in New England, right? Because he's a great coach, and no matter what, he's going to keep them in games. Cam Newton's got to come out in this game and be on Cam Newton, or he's not going to. You just seen San Francisco beat a pretty good Rams team last week, and they didn't really struggle with it. It was pretty good. The defense looked good. Jimmy G looked good. I think Jimmy G getting benched, little fire under him. And then there was the rumors of him being traded, and that helped. I'm going to take San Francisco in an upset here. Also, George Kittle needs 112 yards to pass Mike Ditka for the most receiving yards in the first 50 games of his career. So they're going to get him involved. They know those stats, those type of things. They like to get their players' achievements. George Kittle's a bad matchup for any defense. There's no defense that can match up against him. I'm pretty sure Brent would agree with that. So if they can utilize him well, that's good. Deebo Samuels looked pretty good. They did lose Mostert again, though. High ankle sprain. He went on IR. That dude cannot stay healthy. So you're back down to McKinnon. Did you hear? Is Coleman going to play?
Coleman's not playing.
He's not going to play? Okay. I knew earlier in the week that he was still up in the air, so I didn't know if you'd heard anything yet or not.
McKinnon is going to be the lead back.
So it's going to be McKinnon. So expect screens out of the backfield to McKinnon because they know he's better at doing that than up the middle. So you're going to get a lot of screens, a lot of Kittle, and a lot of Deebo Samuel in this game. I think San Francisco squeaks this one out in a really tight game.
So I have the Patriots winning. And it's not Cam, even though Cam, when he wants to go put the team on his back, he's shown he can in plenty of situations. I don't think Belichick is going to allow his team to fall to 2-4, while the Bills are going to keep winning.
They're going to be 5-2 for sure.
Yeah. I don't think that Belichick is going to allow it. So whatever they got to do, they're going to win that football game. Because you might not get in the playoffs if you don't win more games than what the Patriots are winning. If you fall to 2-4, it's not looking great for your playoff hopes. I'm not sold on San Francisco's win over the Rams because even though the Rams have 4 wins this year, do you know who the Rams' 4 wins were against? The NFC East.
All 4?
All 4.
I was just going through my head right now. Oh my God, they are. Holy shit.
They haven't beaten anyone except for the NFC East.
Damn.
Makes the Niners game a little less impressive in my eyes. Makes the Rams less impressive in my eyes. I think New England's going to win this football game. And it's probably going to be a pretty close game because there just really isn't that many things going there for New England on offense. But they're going to grind it out. They're going to be methodical. They're going to win that football game. New England by 4.
For the love of God, cover George Kittle. For the love of God, double that guy.
Look for Stephon Gilmore to be lined up on Kittle that entire game like he did against Zach Ertz.
That would be smart. That would honestly be smart. Okay.
Tampa Bay at Vegas. This one was hard for me because as much as I don't want to give Las Vegas credit, they deserve credit. They're playing really good football. John Gruden has turned that team around. I knew they were in the right direction. I didn't think that they were there yet. When they beat the Chiefs, that opened it up for me.
You know, they're a penalty away from being 4-1.
Yeah, it's insane. But if you bet against Tom Brady, you'll lose more times than you win. They have a lot of confidence just smacking around Green Bay like that. The team is clicking. Ronald Jones has found himself.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the prime reason on why you don't give up on running backs early. He was a first-round draft pick, and a lot of people said that it was a bust because his first year he struggled to fight for yards.
Both of us included.
Yeah, he didn't look great his first 2 years. Now he looks very good.
Fournette's lost that job in Tampa.
Yeah, I don't think he really ever won.
Well, technically he was the starter.
But Ronald Jones is doing great. I wouldn't even be shocked if the Buccaneers traded Fournette, just to give the confidence to Ronald Jones, and they have LaShawn McCoy there still, so they can get it done. As much as I want to pick John Gruden, I can't bet against Tom Brady the way he's been playing this year. He's had some downs, but he's had a lot more ups than downs. So I have Tampa Bay squeaks this one out. That defense is going to hold Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, and Henry Ruggs in check. Tampa Bay is going to win it, though.
Hey, this was hard for me to pick, too. I spent a second on this game before I picked this game. Tampa did just have a huge victory over Green Bay, but Vegas just had a huge victory over Kansas City. So both these teams are extremely confident in what they can do. Vegas is starting to get healthy. Ruggs is back. Edwards is questionable for the first time in weeks. I don't know if he's going to play. I just looked today and there was no new information on it. So I think he'll probably be a game-time decision. If they can get him back, it'll be big. Jacobs has looked real good. Waller's looked real good this year. I picked Vegas because they're at home, and it's John Gruden's first game against his former team. And I think he's going to want to win this game more than anybody. And Tampa, they just destroyed the Packers, okay? So they might come in here a little overconfident because you're going to think on paper Vegas is not Green Bay, that type of thing right now. You're going to win like that sometimes. Not all the time, so I could be wrong, but sometimes teams do get overconfident after destroying a team like that. Mm-hmm. And it opens them up to be exposed by the next team. And I don't necessarily think that might happen in this game, but it's a possibility, and that kind of led to my decision. So being at home, Gruden against his old team, and the possibility of a blowout hangover, just made me lean towards Vegas a little bit. I think this game's very evenly on paper, and it could go either way, and I'm not touching it on my bet sheet. I would suggest nobody, unless you're going to do like the over-under, do not touch this game, and I would go over if you're going to. So I picked Vegas in a squeaker, and kind of because I figured he would take Brady, and I have to kind of catch up to him and pick him. So I did take Vegas, and like I said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that it's a 100% thing because it's really even. I think both these teams are pretty close on paper at this point.
Yeah.
So, Vegas in a close one. Chicago at the Rams. I don't know how many times I got to say this, man, but like, this is hard for me to say, and I know there's a Bears fan that's actually, according to that thing, watching at the moment.
He probably is waiting. He probably got in here just to tune into this pick right here.
I don't care if they're 5-1. I don't believe in the Bears. I don't believe in them. They haven't shown me really anything to believe in other than somehow winning some of these games, and I just don't understand it because I've watched them play. Foles has not looked that good. The offense doesn't look that good. The defense is starting to look better. They're starting to look more like the old Chicago defense than they did at the beginning of the year. So I will give them credit on that. But coming into the year, we thought Chicago's defense was good, so that was always going to be their strength anyway. So I don't really know where they're pulling these wins out of. You look at the box scores, and they're not pretty. You're not like, oh, they definitely won this game. Look at this box score. Like, no, their box scores are like, Foles threw for 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and the running back ran for 70 yards. Like, woo. I don't know it, but at some point in time, it's gonna run out, and they're gonna face an explosive offense coming off a loss to their rival. That's in a tough division with teams that continue to win, where their worst divisional rival is 3-3, knowing they got to win. That spells a recipe for a disaster for Chicago. I feel like if Chicago doesn't come out and shut down the Rams' offense immediately, then this game could get ugly. So the keys to the Bears' success for me is to go out and punch them in the mouth early and make them lose their confidence, because you can shake Jared Goff. It's been proven. If you can shut him down off the get-go, he gets rattled. He reminds me of a former Bears quarterback that used to play there that looks really funny if you put a cigarette in his mouth all the time. I don't think his attitude is as bad, but his play style. Once you used to rattle Cutler, and all of a sudden he'd fall apart. But if you didn't rattle him right away, he'd blow you up.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel like Jared Goff is. And I just feel like they had too many pieces on that offense, and the Bears don't have enough on their offense. So it may not be the typical Rams 35-pointer, but I do feel like their offense will score enough to beat out the Bears' offense. I would expect a 2-3-point game with the Rams at home beating Chicago, and Chicago the second loss.
All right. So, a lot of you guys don't know this, but Nick Foles used to be the Rams quarterback. Since he left the Rams, Nick Foles is 3-0 against his former team. And there are always shootouts, but Nick Foles is the Rams' daddy. Nick Foles has done a lot of good things. He's beaten Tom Brady in a game that no one expected him to do. Was it good to watch? No. Regular season Nick Foles is not fun to watch. But he's got the Bears heading in the right direction. They're winning football games they're not supposed to win. They were in complete control over Carolina. And the Rams have only beaten the NFC East. But that changes on Monday night. The Rams are going to beat Chicago. I'm also not sold on the 5-1 Bears. The 5-1 Bears needed DeAndre Swift to drop the easiest touchdown pass that I've ever seen to win that football game. They haven't looked convincing in any of their other games.
They need Saquon to blow out a knee to beat the Giants.
Yeah. They've caught a lot of lucky breaks this year. I think they get humbled a little bit with the Rams. I do see the Rams putting 35 points up on the Bears.
Oh, another bold take here.
But I have the Bears staying in on this game. I think Nick Foles is going to get some action too. But I just don't think that he's going to beat Jared Goff. Jared Goff's finally going to get one against his daddy. Rams win it by 5.
All right, guys. Those are our picks of the week. Thank you guys for joining us. We had a good time. Thanks for all your support. We'll see you guys next week.